Avena Women's Care is a collective of 40-plus providers that have been serving Central Ohio communities with comprehensive women's health care for decades. They meet women where they are in every phase of life. From fertility services to menopause care, annual checkups to 3D mammography, Avena provides robust services for all. So for the highest level of individualized women's health care, there's one name to remember: Avena Women's Care. Go to www.avenawomenscare.com to request an appointment. Be sure to tell them Carrie sent you. If you're ready for a true reset, inside and out, Donaldson is here to help you become the very best version of you. They combine cosmetic surgery and functional medicine to support how you look, how you feel, and how you move through the world, with care that's personalized, thoughtful, and never one size fits all. This isn't about changing who you are. This is about feeling refreshed, balanced, and confident again. So if you've been craving a real pick-me-up, Donaldson is ready when you are. Hey there, you beautiful badass. Welcome to the Carrie Croft Show. Yeah, well, Cameron, Molly, welcome to the Carrie Croft Show.
Thank you.
I'm just tickled. Tickled pink. Question for you. Are you a music guy?
Yes and no.
Let's go back to when you're like 15 and you're dealing drugs, which, I mean, I have to say your stock kind of went up a little bit for me. You're like, well, I was a drug dealer. I'm like, amazing. Like you even more. And what were you listening to? Like, can you describe your style back then? Because it was,
yeah, sure.
was it 77?
World Series of Rock up in Cleveland, AC/DC, Journey, all the usual suspects, Styx, Kansas.
Oh God, you're right. You're right in my sweet spot.
Genesis. I mean, all that, kind of stuff. I mean,
and you were just jamming out.
Yeah. Rocker.
Yeah. So when I was literally, I probably have listened to your book maybe, I won't tell you how many times because you'll probably get a restraining order against me. It's part of the research. But I'm fascinated with your upbringing. And I remember in the book you were talking about being in the car with your mom, and you're like, "Where's Dad?" She's like, "Dad's not coming home." And you said, "My mom, she loved me so much." Later on, we kind of discovered she might have been like narcissistic and had bipolar. She would be in her room for, what was that like when you can't really articulate what it is and no one's really talking about mental health?
I mean, I was just lost, back and during those days, my brothers are both gone. And it's just me at the house. And, I had no idea necessarily what was wrong with her or had no experience how to deal with anything like that. They fought for years prior to my dad leaving, but then, once that happened, that was the beginning of, a very dark period of my life, and going to see him every other weekend and crap like that in the beginning. And so, the turning point, I guess, is when I kind of came off the run when I was left. I was on the run for almost 6 months, and I spent my 16th birthday on the run, and I came home right before schools to start at what would have been my junior year, and I kind of knew right then and there, and made a decision to myself that nobody was going to take care of me but me, and I'm not going to inherit any money. I'm not going to, I'm going to have to work for everything I have. And, and just kind of turned 18 when I was 16, basically, or 19 or 20 when I was 16 and kind of set out the course from there. And I had to get a job and had to start working. And that was the beginning of my work life and all that stuff. So.
Yeah, and you mentioned a couple of times you had these moments that almost felt like there was like a higher power or like another dimension pulling you in. And the one was when you called your mom, and you almost felt like there was another.
Sure.
What was that like in the moment?
I just remember it was just, I don't know what it was. Was it divine intervention or not? I don't know. Something I just got up and said, "Now's the time," and called her and said, "I'll be home." And I was home in like 10 minutes after that, 15 minutes after that, and with just I had nothing, just the clothes on my back, and that was it. And so started school the next day, and kind of made up with her, and started the course, and I didn't really know my 2 years in high school remaining, what was going to go on and where I was going. I had that epiphany when I was 18 out of high school that I was going to be in the restaurant business. So that 2.5 years, I was just, living at home, working for beer money, and spending money and kind of, partying a lot. And, so I wasn't really into school or anything. I was just more or less drifting a little bit, kind of trying to figure out where I'm going, what I'm going to do. And finally, I got lucky that, 6 months out of high school, it hit me that this is what I want to do and be in the restaurant business the rest of my life. So, and that was a lifesaver for me. That gave me the direction and set me on the course.
Yeah. Now, Molly, was your upbringing pretty, did you have stable parents?
Kind of opposite.
Yeah.
I still, to this day, 30-some years later, every time he talks about it, I get a lump in my throat just because my childhood was the opposite. I had happy married parents, a great older brother, pretty idyllic childhood on the west side of Cleveland, and couldn't be more different. So that was a bit of a learning curve for me to, kind of really over the years come to really understand all that he had been through.
Yeah.
So.
The fact that you did have such a stable environment has probably helped a lot, because I also know, having the tumultuous upbringing, it creates fault lines that you think you know. And it's not until you marry, have children, and it starts to unfold that those fault lines start to kind of take a different shape. And you don't even realize, why am I responding like this? And so that is going to impact you. Right. But I really believe that having a chip on your shoulder is a really good thing if you can harness it inward. When I look at your story, you lived in UA, you were a have-not, you looked over at South Elaine, you're pissed. I look at those little apartments in UA sometimes and I'm thinking, and you're right across the street from Onondaga. I mean, it is a real, it's a real wild, situation. But when you can take that chip and finally figure out, which is what you did, it's like, instead of throwing out all this anger into the world, it's like boiling the ocean. You're just going to waste your time. But when you can finally turn it in and say, wait, how am I going to take this angst and this, whatever all this stuff is, and work on whatever I'm meant to be, and I think that's what's so important about your story for the person out there who doesn't believe they're worth it, or it's for someone else, or, oh, he must have had this idyllic life, right?
I said for years I was working for a wife and children I don't know right now. And so, in my early 20s and so forth, I knew I wanted to build that life. And you're right, I grew up in Arlington in the have-not section, and I just watched it. And, there was a certain angst about all that, but on the same token, it was that gave me the motivation I needed. And so, I wanted to build this life and and a family and have a relationship with the kids. I always say my dad taught me a lot about being a great dad by not being a great dad, right? So, it's how you look at it, it's your attitude. That was some of the foundations of my attitude in my life. But meeting Molly was like I already started a career. I'd opened the first restaurant. We'd only been open 90 days, and we met. And, she didn't tell you, she kind of liked the bad boys in high school. So
I was going to say, we'll get a little into that.
Anyways, even though she's a nice girl.
The nice girls like the bad boys.
Right.
Yeah.
So... Anyways, but I knew when I met her, we knew the night we met, basically a blind date, that, we were going to get married. And she was part and parcel to that. I needed to have, to be married to a woman that would be, help fulfill that journey. And she wanted that to create her. I joke with her all the time about recreating her childhood, which was great because I had no basis for a great childhood. So we set off, and one of the greatest days of my life was now fast forward. I'm maybe 40 at this time, and 45, and we got a nice house in Arlington now. And Molly's it's a Friday evening at home from work at 7. She's sitting around working at the counter with her apron on, cooking with her girlfriends, drinking wine, and all three of our kids are running through the house like crazy with their friends, and I've got my dog on my lap, his head on my lap, and I'm drinking a glass of wine. time froze, another epiphany in my life. It just hit me like, I did it. This is this family this life, and good relationship with our kids, and how all that just kind of came to fruition. I did it, and obviously with Molly, and obviously her help, and obviously she was an integral part of it. And we just celebrated last summer was a pretty cool time in our lives. Our youngest daughter just graduated from college, and she had moved to Chicago, and so now all three of our kids are out of college. They are on track, happy, settled, feel good about themselves, etc. And, we just celebrated our 30th anniversary at the same time. So it was kind of a culmination there, another point, mile marker, if you will, of, our lives, and how, and it was always that I said it yesterday. I was talking with another friend yesterday about literally, and I used the euphemism that, she raised the family and our kids, and allowed me to go out and tend to the fields every day, and leave at the crack of dawn and get home late at night after sunset, and we worked hard and we did it, and so it was kind of we're now starting to have even more fun. We had a fun time growing up, don't get me wrong, but we worked hard and we played hard. But it is we're looking forward to the rest of our lives together, and all the piecing that hard work together.
I love that. So. All right, Molly. So what do you remember?
Well, the first time I met him was right after he had opened Cameron's of Worthington.
Your girlfriend you came in with. I worked with
the girlfriend I went into Cameron's of Worthington was just trying to pick me up off the floor because I was crying every day about my college boyfriend, which is why I moved to Columbus, and thought it was the end of the world. And when we broke up, and she was just trying to get me out, and she said, an old friend of mine, my old busboy from the Cork and Cleaver, opened up a restaurant on 161. Let's go check it out. We'll just sit at the bar and, get an appetizer and a drink. I'd love to see him. So we went in there, and the place was busy, busy, busy. And he came over and talked to Kathy. And at some point, I got up to go to the bathroom, and Cameron was running around like, it was
crazy.
He was, there were obviously awesome employees, but it was a one-man show. I mean, he was doing everything. And I got up to go to the bathroom at some point, and she wrote my name on. Well, she asked him, "Are you seeing anybody?" And he was like, "No, why? What do you got?" And she wrote just the name Molly. She didn't even write my last name on the cocktail napkin, and gave him my phone number. And when I came back, she told me that she had done this, and I was like, "Oh my God, Kathy, what did you write?" She goes, "Well, I just wrote Molly and your number." I was like, "Not even my last name? Like, this is so terrible. This is so embarrassing." So I walked out of there that night like, "Thanks, Cameron, bye-bye." When we walked out, I wouldn't even look up. So a few days later, he called me, asked if I could meet for a drink. And I liked what you said, long story bearable, so that's where I'm headed here. Asked me to meet him for a drink, and so I agreed. And then when that evening came around, he had wanted to meet at Fridays, and he said, "I can't get there till like 9:30. I was like, "What the heck? I get up at 5 to teach. Like, I'm not, okay, whatever." But I agreed. And when the time came around, I was depressed again about my breakup. And my mom said, "Molly, get up off your ass, put on some lipstick, and show up for a beer. Like, just go have a drink." So I showed up, and we didn't even know if we'd recognize each other. We didn't. We kind of walked into the parking lot at the same time. I'm like, "Cameron?" He's like, "Molly," because I had walked out with my head down from the restaurant that night. And we ended up sitting at the bar and closing down the bar. And I went home and wrote down, "I think I just met the guy." And
what was it about him that you were like, "I just met the guy"?
I don't know. Kind of a little bit of the. I've always said he has a super appealing arrogance. Okay. So if you could take the word arrogant and make it not bad, like make it a positive, that was it for me. Like, I guess that would be confidence.
Yeah.
That was intriguing. He was very engaging. He was funny.
Were you smitten with her? I mean,
Oh yeah, I told my buddies I think I met the one, and so and we were, we were. It was a matter of just not a short period of time before we were inseparable. We
Yeah.
spent every day together.
We were
at
engaged
some
like
point.
6 months
We
later.
were
Yeah.
engaged 6 months later. But when she left out was the funniest part is we sat down and we ordered drinks and I said, well, you obviously know what I do. Tell me what you do for a living. And she says, well, I'm a sophomore English teacher at Westerville North High School and I like to read. And I started laughing at her. She says, what's so funny about that? And I go, well, I failed sophomore English 3 times in high school, and I like to read. I read a book or 2 every year, but I'm a couple books behind right now, and so we ended up closing the bar that night.
yeah, you're like, I'm going to swing. It's either going to be a hit or a miss.
And she was 24, and I was 30, and we were engaged 7 months later on her birthday, her 25th birthday.
Yeah.
You're a fashionable lady. I mean, you're just put together well.
Okay,
So
I'll take that.
She is.
you are.
I'll vouch for that.
Thank you.
So what was your, like, were you like really into your wedding dress? Like, do you like, what was the style?
I loved my wedding dress. I
loved
still love my
mine.
wedding dress.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you that. You still have it?
I still have it.
And it's Louise. That's your daughter.
yeah.
Like I was curious if you like kept it so she could like maybe take a part of it or do maybe. If she wanted to.
if she wanted to, yes.
I feel like it'd be cool
Zero
to like
pressure.
But you could like take the sleeve and make you don't have to like wear the dress.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I loved my dress. It was like a fitted column dress, slightly beaded, but not overly so. Had some little like chiffon, like silk draping in the back. I loved it.
Do you like it? Was it the moment like when you saw her? Is it like they say in the
yes.
movies where you were like, yeah, watch, come on, Cameron. Like when you remember still in your mind's eye?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, but she, listen, we tell a story all the time about how I walked into Bravo one night to meet her, and after work, and she was at the bar with some girlfriends, and played spec, but I saw her across the bar, and she saw me, and she got up, and we kind of almost ran to each other, kind of thing, and she still to this day lights my eye up, so it doesn't, when she gets dressed up. So
That's romantic. Is he a romantic guy?
He is. He's very sweet.
You strike
It's
me as
not
a
always like
well,
that.
no,
but he's very sweet. Leaves me
No.
notes and
no.
does nice things.
And that's a good lead in to this. It's like, when I got married, like everything's idyllic and it's like, the romanticism of it, and it is romantic. But I also think there should be like some sort of little class where you're like, by the way, along with being this, it's also kind of like Saving Private Ryan, where you're in the dirt with this person with a helmet on. Like when you look at that person, is that someone you could see in the dirt with you, right? So what do you feel like with Cameron, where you're like, yeah, I didn't realize like he was going to have this quality, but that was so, it came out like during the tougher seasons, or when you have 3 kids under the age of 6, do you like, can you go back there?
I would say, and we sometimes kind of laugh about this, we didn't really even know each other.
we laugh about it all the time.
We got married. I mean, we just fell in love. We didn't have a ton of those super deep conversations about were we in line on all the important things. It turns out, 30 years later, our values are very similar, and we line up, we're in lockstep on most things, which helps. But I would say at the beginning, I don't think either of us really knew what we were getting into. And I guess that's the way with most marriages, but because we hadn't been together all that long, maybe a little more so for us. And I just, I think I didn't realize how hard he would work at, and how hard he would need to work at balance. So when we were young, and we were both kind of doing alongside of each other, I would say, exactly what we wanted to be doing and what we were passionate about. Me, raising a family, Cameron, building his career, But he worked very hard at keeping a balance with, social time for just us, time as a family, time with the kids, some downtime. That was always a little hard for you. But so we were, I think it almost like took it's just almost been like an arc. Like they were, we were together, then we were kind of both doing our thing as hard as we could do it. And then, and along the lines there, we had a sick child. I mean, it wasn't always easy. He took the company to the brink several times. That wasn't super fun. But then kind of it arced back to now, just being able to be really to a form of support, I guess, of each other and total mutual respect. Like, I think going through all this together, he has so much respect for the role I played, and obviously I have huge respect for what he's done and accomplished. So I just say it was kind of made like a little arc and circled back.
Yeah. Speaking of you taking the company to the brink a couple times, you use the word hubris a lot, which I love, right?
Goes
I'm
back
like,
to the
oh,
arrogance.
yeah, right. I like that. It's big. It's a word I don't normally use. Because any quality that someone possesses can be a blessing or a curse if you can't harness it, or if you can't have self-awareness around it. So like if I do the Strengths Finder, number one for me is command. Well, it doesn't take long to be around me to be like, oh shit, like that makes sense, right? Which is a really brilliant quality if you understand the shadow. Do you think that like you just didn't have the ability then because you were hearing your name in the news and you were seeing all about yourself, and it was like you almost feel like you're invincible, like we can't fail, like I'm just going to keep opening these, and then it's intoxicating, right?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. On the same token, it just happened. Like, opened one restaurant. We wanted to build some more. I had no idea. Then we wanted to have 10 by 2,000. Okay, well then we wanted to go out of town. Okay, we tried to go out of town, and then hey, maybe we could be a national brand. Maybe we can go coast to coast. And so it just, I was notorious for her to Mal to say, well, it's going to get better next year. Next year, I'm going to slow down. And I'm still saying that today. But, so a lot of things we didn't know. It wasn't like it was, we were just pushing along. And, when I had that first sale transaction in 2008, which was exciting and thrilling, but I didn't know when, the Great Recession was coming right behind us. And I went out, I thought I was going to rebuild the company in XYZ period of time, and we just got smacked pretty hard then. And so it was had 3 near-death experiences with the company. One was 9/11, 2 was the Great Recession, and 3 was COVID.
Yeah.
So other than that, it's okay. But it's I don't know how to explain it, but we I mean, she's right to a certain extent. She was doing her thing. Not that we were empty vessels cruising along, but she was, heavily involved, deep into her thing, and was deep into, running the business. And, you can't just stop and say, well, one thing leads to another. You got to keep going. Same with the kids. You can't just stop being a mom, midway through. It just doesn't.
Yeah. I think it's important to note,
you got to go all the way.
Yeah. For people who are newly married, thinking about getting married, there are times where you are partners. It's not always this romanticized. I just think that there's so much with the rom-coms and the way that, first comes love, then and it is wonderful. It's all those things, but I feel like there should be a better lead in around like the way you guys were partnered up. It's like, look, we're a team. Like we have our roles and we have to respect each other's roles. And I might want to throat punch you sometimes, but we're in this together.
It's her favorite line. I'm going to punch you in the throat.
Hey, see, right? It's so, is it really?
Well, I mean, I have to let him know sometimes, just stop while you're ahead.
You do have to, and because so this leads to my next thought. When you are married to someone who is in the public, I mean, Cameron Mitchell, and it has all this cachet and, oh, great. And it is all those things. But you know him as, you do his laundry, you deal with his shit every single day, 365 days a year, right? And so if not you to like check him, who's going to? Because there's probably a lot of people who wouldn't. So what's that like, being
That's
with
been-
him all the time like that?
I'd say that's been a thing in our marriage more so in the earlier years. Like I think I held back being demonstrative with accolades and, building up his, stroking his ego because I'm like, it's happening all day long. But he would say, well, I don't care about all that. I want it to hear it from you,
Correct.
Right.
And so that took me a while to understand, and just age and maturity, obviously, and then the closeness of our marriage. But I mean, I will never shake my head about it because I always say, it's paid for our kids' college. It's provided some beautiful travel experiences for us that wouldn't have been possible. But sometimes we're kind of like, do we want to go out tonight, or should we go to one of our restaurants? I'm like, sometimes you just don't feel like talking.
Yeah.
But then every time somebody stops by the table, you remember, well, they just paid their bill at your restaurant.
Yeah.
You're just never gonna
Right.
bitch about it.
That's a whole other thing. I mean, I felt that way on a much smaller scale with System of Strength. You walk in for a workout, but you're not just ever going to just get your workout.
Right.
I'm looking in the corner for dust ball, like hair balls.
Right.
I'm looking to see if like someone's having a good experience,
Yeah.
who's at the counter. And so that's like the blessing and you can never turn it off. And especially with the culture and values that you guys have created with the whole, like, yes is the answer. I mean, you guys have taken shit to another level. And believe me, I have reaped the benefits. Hudson 29 Lane Avenue. They are my people.
Yeah.
They used to make us, my husband would ask for a chicken quesadilla. And it was so delicious. I'm like, how are we getting a chicken quesadilla at Hudson 29? I'm like, well, yes is the answer.
They have the chicken.
It's great. I love it so much.
So there's to dovetail on that last point, there's a couple instances, there's a lot of instances where, only as a wife can do, kind of put you in your place sometimes, or knock your feet out a little bit.
Sorry.
One time I'm in the morning, my job in the morning was to make the kids sandwiches, and she would get, breakfast going, and I'd pack the lunches and so forth. And
At the last possible minute.
Well, I didn't have the same sense of urgency you had. But anyways, I'm on the cover of a magazine. Maybe it's Columbus Monthly. I'm not sure what it is. And I'm showing the kids, hey, look at this, kids. Dad's on the cover of this magazine. And she's like, hey, that's great and all, but why don't you get back to making the sandwiches?
Yeah.
I'll never forget. It was classic.
But that's true.
Yeah.
And there's another line that she'd be probably the only person in the world would ever say this to me. She leads with, I don't really think of you as a great restaurateur. I'm like, really?
You're like, actually, I'd like to punch you in the throat right now.
No. I go, really? And she goes, no, I think of you as a great businessman that happens to be in the restaurant business. And I go, oh, okay, I can live with that, because I kind of feel the same way.
Yeah.
I just happen to be in the restaurant business.
It was about all the, especially when all the star chefs were getting TV shows, and it was about the whole foodie movement.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not necessarily you. Like you were always driven by the business part of this.
Well, you were. And that was something that surprised me in the book when I read it for the first or listened for the first time, where when you went to the CIA and you were just kind of like, not that you didn't love to learn the cooking, but it was like you knew early on that you wanted to start a restaurant company.
Right.
And your ability in the midst of you being like Cameron Mitchell, like, the whatever, the rebel and all these things, your ability to set goals for yourself was interesting. That was something else that I noticed. And that's something I want people who are listening to think about. So even when you were, confused and younger and you were still lost, you would go home and you would get a pad and pen out and you'd be like, I want to be the general manager of X. I want to be, and you were creating these priorities and objectives for yourself. You were believing before seeing. And I think that that's a huge quality. And most people, you have to see it to believe it, right? No, you don't. You have to believe it to see it. If you want to do anything remotely great, when no one else is watching, when no one else cares, when no one else knows, only you. And like that to me was something that was a thread that you always were able to do. And it doesn't have to be, I think people think about goal setting and it gets real like professional and business-esque, and we need a strategy session for 2026 Q4. No, get out a piece of paper, literally a Post-it note, and write down 4 things that you would love to do in the next year.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people do it.
He sets goals all the time.
Yeah. Envisioning and painting the vision for others around. I paint the vision for her all the time, where we're going to go, what we're going to do. And sometimes she doesn't believe me, but it does usually happen. And but I still goal set today. I mean, but and I just read an article literally a couple of days ago about Jim Carrey, the actor, who, like in the whatever, before he really became famous, he wrote himself a check for $10 million, and he was visioning himself, being a very successful actor, and I could write myself a check for $10 million if I wanted to, and so forth. And I do those things, not that exact same point, but those things all the time. It's very powerful, and I do turn around once I have my vision. I turn around to our people and paint that vision for them, and so forth. So she knows there's things I'm working on currently, that if I was a betting person, they will come to fruition.
Yeah, if I were a betting person,
I'm working on
I believe you. That's what the kids call that today. They call this being delusional. So it's I think delusional, just like arrogance, can have a negative connotation. But if you're not going to dream big for yourself, no one else, nobody else will.
That's for sure.
Stress and inflammation take a toll on your body and your wellness. Relax, restore, and rejuvenate at Panacea Luxury Spa Boutique. Book any service of $100 or more and enjoy 2 hours in our luxury amenities. Unwind in our Himalayan salt saunas. Recharge in our wet retreat space with a eucalyptus steam room, hot hydrotherapy pool, and cold plunge. Then drift into deep relaxation with our hanging loungers. What's your panacea? We'll help you find it. I have a new obsession and I need to put you on it. Mia Santiago is a celebrity stylist right here in UA, and she's the only person I trust with my hair. Her precision cuts grow out perfectly, and she's created something unreal. Headspace by Mia, her chic scalp spa. It's not just a hair appointment, honey. It's a full-on reset. Your scalp gets healthy, your hair looks expansive, and your nervous system finally exhales. If winter has you feeling dry, tired, or overstimulated, this is your moment. Go book with Mia Santiago and her amazing team. You'll leave glowing, you'll feel lighter, and yes, you'll thank me after. And so I think instead of it just being like, oh, dream big, it's like, no, actually draw in what you want your life to look like. Let's not make it like I'm a big dreamer. Like, it's like, what do you want it to look like? Who else is going to draw it for you? And so I was very, like, I saw that throughout, like, when I was listening, I'm like, oh yeah, this guy, even though on the surface, tumultuous childhood, had his rebellious stage, lost, he knew, like, he had an inner belief in himself that was inevitable. It was just inevitable. And that I think for people to bet on themselves is just so important.
Yeah.
So important.
Yeah, I had a buddy of mine tell me once, he goes, that's a really great dream, Cam. And I go, hey, Mike, it's not a dream, it's a plan.
Yeah. But isn't that funny how
those two words?
But how different that is? Like, if it's a plan, it's like, okay, wait, it's a plan. So how are we going to back into it?
Right.
How are we going to reverse engineer it? And I love, so when I read, not only that I saw that you were into Good to Great, but then you also mentioned Stephen Covey, the emotional bank account, didn't you?
Not necessarily. I talked about that in the book, not necessarily that literally, but yes.
No, because I also still use that to this day. I have a thing that I have built called mental athleticism, and it's one of the things that I'm doing with my new business, and it's around empowering people to have the big dream for yourself. So have those objectives, and also the daily disciplines to get there, and then to track to those objectives. And I liken it to, like, to me, you can boil it down to 4 anchors in your life that matter. So it's me first, invest in your inner circle, build your empire, and improve the atmosphere. Like I can pretty much take everything and distill it into those things. But when you think about them, they're all like a bank account. And so that would like the Stephen Covey, the emotional bank account. It's like, okay, I'm all in on this build your empire bank account, but my inner circle starving over here, right? Like how did
You'll
you
never
like
make it that way.
Yeah.
you're constantly like, maybe not as much now because the kids are older and you're taking on a different role, but like that was probably always like keys you were constantly playing.
Yeah, I like to use the word tend to, that phrase. Like I would say, I would always tend to my wife or tend to my family or, tend to our team, and we always have a thing saying at work that, if you can't be successful at work if you're not successful at home, can't be successful at home if you're not successful at work. And they really run hand in hand. And we try to, in that balance, and I talk to young managers, young leaders say all the time about balance. And I didn't want to wake up one day divorced, estranged from my kids, but having a huge business and very successful, right? Because that's not success. That's failure, really, So one of the things I like to talk about at work, too, is we'll get there together. Nobody does anything alone. We didn't, we built our family together. We built our business together. Yes, I have my name on the door, but I'm surrounded by thousands of wonderful people that help us get along the way and get to where we want to go. So it's all about balance and taking care of those, as you in your particular instance, those 4 pillars. And if you don't, you can be great at one, but if you're not tending to the others, it's all for naught.
Yeah.
So balance is crucial to success.
Yeah, and I think also having the big picture vision, but not being thinking you're too good or whatever to take those little mundane steps every day. It's like so many people have one or the other. You're either a workhorse and you look down and you don't dream big for yourself, but you're doing all the things, or you're like a cat and you're like daydreaming in the sky about being the, if you can like take those 2 things and meld them together in a consistent way, it's like, it's so powerful.
Yeah, I say, it's like keep one eye down on the ground and one eye forward, and so, one eye, I'm 30,000 feet looking over the horizon, all that. And the other one is what's going on right now today that we have to take care of. So,
are you and Chris Duty still pals?
Yeah, I mean, always will be friends. Yeah.
When I was with SOS, it's funny, I met with him a couple times, just, he was mentoring me a little bit, and I lost his email. And I was going to stop. I was like, are they still over on Fifth Ave? Like, where is this guy? Because I haven't seen him for and I wanted to talk to him. And then you had mentioned him in your book, and I was just curious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He lives 4 doors down. So close by.
Yeah. I love that.
I just talked to his brother the other day, too. So,
yeah. And so speaking of brothers, both of your brothers are doctors, you said? So you had a smart, you guys were all smart.
Yeah, they had the brains. I had the brawn.
I feel like you had brains, too, but you were a rebel, man.
Yeah, they were. I always used to say, thanks for holding some of my books for me over your house. So, yeah.
I'm sure you made things very interesting.
Yeah, well, I suppose. I'm definitely a little different than they are, that's for sure.
Yeah. So what are these like, when you said you have some things brewing? Are you able to like tell us anything that you have brewing in your head, like anything up and coming, visions you want to bring to life?
Well, I would say my number one and number 2. Not necessarily in that order, but like, Molly and I are super excited about, the rest of our lives together. Well, I think you cross over a point where you kind of, we're not going anywhere, right? We're going to be together, we're going to grow old together. We know that, all that sort of stuff. And our kids are now, so what are we going to do? Where are we going to go? Where are we going to travel to? Who do we want to be with? All those things. And we're excited about that. So planning that out and not necessarily always planning it, just living it too at the same time. So, but the other piece is the company. And I've always said I wanted to be, this company be around 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 years long after I'm a big restaurant in the sky. And, I told our exec team one time, I said, we're all sitting around the table, 12 of us in the room. I said, if all goes well, none of you will be sitting at this table in the future. And they looked at me all like, what are you talking about? I go, but the table will still be here. And so I'm solely focused now on that transition of my role in the company and in the company itself and that next gen of leaders and so forth and setting it up to, starting this is a multi-year process, but by way of example, 2 years ago or so, I took myself off the executive team, because I wanted them to run without me in the room. I still actively involved and so forth, but I'm not seeing that room every other week. So, and just starting to let go. Some founder CEOs struggle to let go. I'm more struggling to hang on. Because I want to. I want to. I've been going at it hard for a long time. In 2030, I joke, is an important year because I'll be 50 years in the restaurant business, and I always say, well, by then hopefully I'll have some street cred. So people start
Let's
listening
hope.
to me at that point.
Let's hope.
But and we should be $1 billion company by that point in time, and that's pretty cool. But I'm looking way past that. What's it going to be like? And who's going to run it, and how's it going to be, and all that. But I tell people, because so many people in our organization have built incredible careers, and I said, we owe it to the young people coming up the ladder behind us in our company to create the same opportunities for them to grow and that we had. And so we can't just take our opportunities and run and let it falter. So
Yeah. Molly, so I'm so curious, now that your kids are self-sufficient and you spent so much time just investing and pouring in them, and me living in both worlds, like I have two very young children. I don't know if you know that or not.
I do.
So it took us a really long time to have kids. I have are you ready? 2.5-year-old and a 7-year-old, if you can believe it. Well,
fun.
right. So I'm
How
living
fun.
this life where I'm an entrepreneur. I have built, I've done, I've been in corporate, all these things. Being a mom is literally, you are a superhero and a CEO. And that's another thing that on my show, I try to change the narrative around, because it's like, oh, you're staying home with the kids, and you are a CEO of your house and your life. It is insane how hard it is and how important. But now that they're older and you're seeing the fruits of your labor and you're watching these kids fly, has to be, first of all, so incredible. But what is shifting for you, and what are you doing for yourself, and how is your life kind of shape shifting now that the birdies are leaving the nest?
Just one little funny add-on. I remember when I had our first son, right after he was born, I said to a woman at the pool, I go, I feel like I'm in this, it's so amazing. I'm in this new club, this secret club. She goes, you mean the women that moms fucking rule the world club? I was like, yes, that's the club.
Yeah.
I'm in it. I just remember thinking, this is I'm a whole new person.
Yeah.
And I think you do become a whole new person. And then I would say, and I've told people, with kids younger than me or whatever, for me, it was the lead up to, oh my gosh, it's almost time for them to start going to preschool, and I'm going to miss them so much during the day. And then you're like, once you drop them off and all you get done is a shower and Giant Eagle, you're like, it's not so bad. Preschool's just great. And then it's they're graduating high school, and the first one to college. You would have thought we had lost a member of our family. I mean, physically lost.
You're walking out of there. You think well, he didn't make it. I'm carrying her out.
I mean, it was just terrible.
No, he's going to school.
Were you crying? Were you crying too?
Oh, he was a disaster.
Until I saw her, then I'm like, pull yourself together.
Yeah.
You gotta take care of
She's
her.
about to lay on the pavement. I think it's the lead up about wondering who you're going to be after they're a little separate from you is the worst part. And then once they're separate from you a little bit more and a little bit more, and thank God it happens in small increments, I don't know, you just kind of think this is exactly what it's supposed to be. I'm so proud of all three of our kids. They're doing what they want to do, where they want to do it, with who they want to do it. It's just so cool. Do I wish they all lived next door? Yeah, but I love that they're doing their own thing right now.
Now you have places to visit.
Yeah, I
There's
know.
one in New York.
He
right?
moved to Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
That's our oldest. He works for the company.
Okay.
And then our middle son works in the film industry, and he's here in Columbus,
Oh,
lives
nice.
downtown. And he was adamant that's what he was going to do, and he made it happen, which is pretty cool. And our youngest is cold calling and loving it in Chicago.
I got some tech. I lived in Chicago for a stint too.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. If anybody needs tips for cold calling or networking, I'm your girl.
Okay.
I'm telling you.
I
I used to
will-
have people would call me and they'd say, you know what? I don't want to buy your services, but I want you to come work for me. Because I would get to the point where I'd get giddy and I'd be like, hello, I will clean out your garage.
Yeah.
I will clean your car. I mean, I was like, that would be
Yeah.
like at the very end of a random day.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, you got to get out there and
Yeah.
like make it
She's
happen.
loving it.
Yeah.
She's doing awesome.
Yeah. Well, one more thing, I think, like Molly got to have a front row seat watching me, come up and build a company. We joke she's my partner, as my business partner. She actually saved the company about $300,000 the other day. So, anyways, she did a nice job. But I've had a front row seat to watch her too at the same time, and I feel personally hugely supportive of her because she worked her ass off. She she wants to stay in bed in the morning. Great, fine, no problem. It's like you deserve it. You're all those things.
Yeah.
So it's just like she's a little farther ahead than I am in terms of retirement, if you will.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
I'm kind of enjoying myself.
yeah.
And
I'm
yeah,
loving
you
the
are.
fact
Yeah,
she's
you
enjoying
are,
herself.
Queen. Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's
three.
fabulous.
I promise you can remember this. I know you can remember this. I'm sure there were so many times as hard and tough as what you have done has been, and dynamic and ever changing and all encompassing. I guarantee there were times you got in that car and you thought to yourself, at least I'm not in the house with like a freaking like I do. Like I'm like that one's screaming, one's it's like no matter that hard is hard, but it's such a different. It's like when they're
just screaming.
when they're in that age where they're like the drunk midgets, they're like, and there's like multiple of them. You're like, what is happening here? So getting in a car and going somewhere is like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, and it's cool too because there's no way in hell I could have done it. I mean, I suppose if you threw me in, that's what I had to somehow, but I couldn't. I mean, and she couldn't have done what I did. So
Right.
we always
Because-
had that kind of mutual respect, and
Just our personality types.
yeah, it's kind of fun. I mean, she I couldn't even tell you where the toolbox is in the house. I
True-
couldn't
true
tell you.
story.
are you handy?
Enough. I mean, I know who to call if I
Right,
can't
right,
do it,
right.
but I know where the toolbox is.
Right.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
how to anything. I don't do anything at the house. She'll tell you that. I mean,
She's running that ship.
yeah,
true.
exactly.
She's running that show. So what do you want to do for retirement? Is there anywhere specific you want to go travel wise? Like you sound like you've got some real plans going on.
I think we both feel, I mean, that's one thing we figured out pretty early on. We both love to go and see and do. Like, I think we both want to just like, if we see a concert somewhere that we want to go see, be able to go do it, travel for sure, places we haven't been. I don't know. We both love, we're both extroverts. Like we both love being around people. So I love taking a couples trip or being with girlfriends, going, just having people into our home often. I love, I don't know, we're pretty social people, and I always say I would go anywhere. I would go anywhere. So
Yeah, I love that.
hoping to do some of that.
Yes, I
Going
will come
anywhere.
over.
Yes.
There you go.
The answer is
Yeah.
yes, I will come over.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So you did say you have this amazing holiday party.
We
You
used
said
to have
this.
a company party.
Well, we used to, and then it got too big. The last one we had
Way
was
too
2
big.
years ago. So we had 250 people to the house.
Seriously?
Yeah, and it was full. We roll out the red carpet, ice carvings, and raw bars, and we always different themes and all that. And it just got to be too much, and so we.
When they used to fly all the
All the operating partners around the country in for that and so forth, and it became too much, and so so we stopped doing our annual holiday party. We did as we started moving the company holiday party to our house, and now we just resurrected last
just
Christmas
this past
a
December.
couple weeks ago, a few weeks ago, for a new holiday party at our house. We had 150 people over, I think, for that one.
So yes, I am available
Yeah.
for that. I also can do dishes, and I'm a really great bartender.
Well,
Perfect.
I am.
fortunately, we don't have to worry about doing any dishes. So we have a great catering company that comes.
Oh, you
in.
do?
That's
yeah,
the other
yeah,
thing. Like,
yeah.
It's a nice little
I think I
perk.
heard about
Everybody
that.
would, sometimes when we entertain, somebody will say, do you need me to? Lots of times in smaller groups, we entertain
Yeah, we
just
do it
on our own.
ourselves, right? But yeah,
But there is a catering company, you know, for when you need it, which is incredible. And so sometimes people say, do you want me to bring something? I'm like, no, you don't have to do
we
anything.
actually really don't want
Yeah.
you to bring anything. You know what I mean? Like, I really don't. I'm not the greatest. I'm not great with like food and hosting and stuff like that. But I'm always like, yeah, don't
Yeah,
bring.
don't bring anything.
Probably not.
Yeah.
This is random, but there was a cliffhanger I felt like in your book that I wanted an answer to. You ended the book with was it Adam Merkel? A guy that wrote a letter, like he wrote a letter to you, and we never, like, we didn't know, like, did you end up like reaching back out to him, or like what happened with Adam Merkel?
yeah, he reached out to me, and I don't remember the exact genesis of it, but I was in Young Presidents Organization, which was we had a forum with other presidents. You know, subgroup. There were 60 members, and there was 6 forums of 10 members each. You know, or somewhere it might have been 7 with, you know, some had 8 or 9, whatever. But that was a very important part of YPO, is being able to sit and talk with fellow CEOs, you know, and presidents about what you're doing and how they're doing and all that stuff. And so I had this idea to start a young restaurateur group. So I have 7 restaurateurs in that group. Adam's one of them. And
Okay.
we meet bi-monthly at my office from 4 to 9 and break bread. Someone always takes turn bringing dinner. And we have cocktails, and we talk shop for 5
love
hours.
that.
And we go around the horn and, you know, help each other out. And we don't tell each other what to do. We just kind of, you know, let's sounding board and listen and help give ideas and so forth. And then we take a retreat every year. We just had this group and their spouses over to our house for a dinner party over the holidays too. We do that periodically. But my idea was to, when I had, all these guys have 2, 3, 4 restaurants somewhere in that ballpark. But back when I was there, I didn't have any of that support. And so the idea was to help them kind of avoid some of the potholes that I went through.
Yeah.
So, you know, paying it forward a little bit.
Yeah.
When he says young restaurateur group, he means the other guys are all young.
Right. they're in their 40s,
Yeah.
you know, early 40s,
Doesn't
late
that seem
30s.
like
but,
babies
you know,
now?
yeah,
It's so
but,
weird
you
to
know,
me. It is
generation behind me.
It is so weird to me.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get to the real juicy questions. So, what is your drink of choice?
Tangerine and tonic, and but more importantly, anybody that knows you will tell you it's Chardonnay.
Chardonnay, really?
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
Do you have any sort of skincare routine that you're currently on?
None.
Your skin is lovely.
Oh,
Thank you.
these are great.
You had thanked your yoga instructor and your fitness instructor.
yeah.
Who are these people and what are we doing? How many times a week? Let's lay it out. I want to lay out the fitness that you're
We
doing.
have, well, we're fortunate. We have a gym in our house. I have someone come to the house every Monday through Friday at 8 o'clock or 8:15. I do yoga Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then train Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And and I just started working out at Scioto with a trainer specifically for golf training and flexibility as I'm getting older. So to keep my strength up with that and flexibility and so forth, because I do love golf. So so I'm meeting with him a couple of days a week, and I'm doing I have a muscle activation therapist I use also that helps keep the muscle systems working properly.
Do you work out with him or are you like, no way, that's my me time?
I work out with girlfriends,
Yeah.
Okay.
and yeah, we wouldn't be great workout partners.
No, yeah. I'd
Yeah, no,
probably-
I go to the gym, and most days of the week I meet girlfriends. I have the same girls.
What
My
gym?
little, we go over to Scioto.
Oh, okay.
My little workout group, though, we've been together for a billion years. We're all actually going to Turks and Caicos tomorrow morning to my girlfriend's house. So,
Oh, that's going to be
yeah.
fun.
so
Damn
and
it.
they're going to try to make me work out, but I'm not going to.
When you're on vacation?
I don't like to work out.
No, I agree with that. I used to have this weird thing where I'd have to work. I'm like, what are you doing?
No.
Like,
Well, that's a really good way to do it, but we're not very good at that.
I think
Right.
I think you just kind of you're healthy. You do all the things you need
Yeah.
to do, and then I mean, vacation. You'll take walks and you'll
Sure.
do stuff.
Yeah.
But like, do we really need to like throw our heads against the
Right.
wall every single day?
Right.
But the problem is you just start taking more vacation, and the less you're working out. So
Well, this
Right.
is true,
if you
Cameron.
don't
When
work
life
out,
starts
This
to
is
become a
true. Good
vacation, then
point.
you gotta
you have
maybe
to
pack
transition
your.
at some point. We're
This-
fighting that fight right now.
How many times have I packed my workout clothes
Yeah.
and then I come home and just put them back in the
Yeah.
closet?
No, I know. Isn't that funny? At
We
least
do it all the
bad.
time.
it's. But you know, the intent was there. What about mental health?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, are you someone who is like a therapy guy, or
Mm-hmm.
are you more old school? Like, where do you fall in all of that?
I'm all for therapy, you know. And I think well, first of all, I did it myself for years when I was in my 20s, way back when. And I think it's like going to the gym, you know, for your mind. I don't have any negative connotation with it whatsoever. So, you know, our kids have seen therapists before, you know, and that's fine. But they're doing it to build themselves and to, you know, help and help me sort through a lot of my crap, you know, from, you know, and so now I don't feel that way anymore. I don't feel like I need anything. I don't feel angst or depression or anything like that. I feel contentment and, you know, and at peace and so forth. And so you know, yeah, should I read more? Yeah. I mean, you know, yeah, could, you know, it's always good to go talk to someone, I think, in that regard, but I don't do that anymore. And, you know, you don't read as much as I should and all those things. So, that's okay. I mean,
No, I think and I wasn't saying that you should be doing it now. I was just curious because just of the uptick of the awareness and conversation around therapy in today's world. And so when you get to a certain age and you've never done it, it's kind of like this foreign concept, you know, but then all the kids, it's like a whole different world today. So that's why I was asking. No, you strike me as a very like content and like someone who has gone through a lot, has been able to turn, you know, shit into sugar, as they say.
Yeah,
and you're enjoying the fruits of your labor.
Yeah.
I love that for you.
well, here's a perfect example of that. We're going to lose. Well, we lost $2 million in revenue in December because of weather, and we're going to lose another $2 or $3 million this month in February or January and into February because there's no end in sight for this weather. And Molly knows. I mean, I would be climbing the walls, you know, when the school called and said school's canceled today. That was always a bad thing for me, you know.
Yeah.
And so, but I know, you know, I can't. You say you get maturity under your belt. You know, I can't tell you when the last time we, you know, we had hurricanes in Florida. We closed some restaurants for a while, right? Well, you know, next year I know we'll go cross over this time and we're going to kill it next year because, you know, our same store sales were so great compared to this year because the weather was so bad. So we'll get through it. It's not the end of the world. So there's, you know, it's part of the luxury of being 62 is you get, you know, enough credit, you know, mileage under your belt.
Yeah.
You start to get a little calmer and, you know, yeah, I've seen that before. I've done that before. I've, you know, got that T-shirt. You know, so I think it's just innate. It happens. Hopefully, if it all goes well, that you just kind of start to calm.
Yeah.
A little bit.
He did say in his book that he did a good job of like masking you from the highs and the lows. Is that true? He had to.
Well, I don't know if we would call it masking. I think there was a little
like
period
not-
of completely not telling me stuff.
Okay, yeah. So keeping it from
Yeah.
you because he didn't want to like,
Yeah.
because that has to
You
be.
know when we said there, like marriage isn't always great and some
Yeah.
times are crappier than others, that was the time.
Yeah.
For us, it
Yeah.
was bad.
Well, and I can see the.
I started to figure out
Well, she always
things are
knows.
not going well.
But the thing is
it's the
like,
body language. It's the, you know, the tension, you know, or whatever. I mean,
But-
she knows when things are bothering
But as
me.
the provider, you know, when something's not, you don't want to bring it home because you have respect and understand that like it's a push and a
She's got enough of
pull.
her own shit. to
You
deal
know,
with.
I
right?
think, too, he just, by his nature, always felt, well, I'll figure it
I'll
out.
figure it
Like,
out.
I'll figure it
Yeah.
out. I'll get this
figure it out.
cleaned up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, there were times, you know, that he was just trying to do a little behind the scenes cleanup and keep me from, you know, stressing out about it by not sharing with me.
And
so
you're sniffing around. You're like,
Yeah,
women.
that's how
when are
that
men? Let me.
goes.
I have
Yeah.
a question for all the men,
yeah.
not just Cameron. All the men. When are they going to figure
Right.
out that we have some kind of sixth
Detective
sense on
ability,
your ass?
yeah.
Like literally,
Yeah.
you can get. When I say nothing past us,
Yeah.
like not even a
Yeah.
little tiny nano piece of
Yeah.
flint, you're not getting past us.
I knew something was up. So
Yeah, but figure it out.
But
He did.
he did. I mean, that's
Right?
exactly it. It was just maybe
So great.
one of the more difficult times.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Well, there is a little more to that story too.
ooh,
What?
what is it? What is it?
What?
Sometimes I try to share some numbers with Maul.
Oh.
And you know, kind of what's
I was like,
happening.
wait.
And you know, when I see the eyes start to roll in the back of her head, then I realize, you know, she tries
Those-
to hang on.
Like he has a yellow legal pad. He just shows. Well, I just want to show you. Just look at this. Just if you could stick with me for a minute.
She's an English major.
Finally, I'm
So
like,
great.
okay, it's just really you're losing
Business
me.
major.
I know, but it's so great too. I can feel that so hardcore because like with me and my enthusiasm for what I build, and my husband's a teacher, right? And so of course he's excited
Yeah.
and he wants to hear things and
Yeah.
whatever. But like I will go into these sort of like rants or rabbit holes or whatever, and like he'll be
Exactly.
like, I'm like, okay, this is the wrong audience. I get it. Like I'm just so jacked up about this. I need to talk to somebody. I
Yep.
need to go talk to
Yep.
somebody. Oh, I love it. Well, I am so grateful. I know you guys have a million places that you could be and a million places that, you know, like Turks and Caicos, all this stuff, things you could be doing. And the fact that you carved out an hour for little old me is thank you. I really appreciate it.
You're quite welcome.
Oh, and we cannot conclude this without thanking Joel
Yeah.
because Joel was the connector to
Yep.
this. So thank you,
Nice
Joel
guy.
Furno.
Yeah.
You stud muffin, you. We appreciate
He's a great
you.
guy.
Oh, he
He's a
is, and
great
his
guy.
wife is
Yep.
amazing. You guys
Yep.
know Ashley.
Yep.
She's the best.
And I've befriended Ashley's dad too, as a matter of fact.
Oh,
So,
nice.
yeah, we've become friends. So
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so great. Well, thank you so much. This has been so much fun.
Fun to see you and meet you. And
Yeah.
thank you for having
Chewing the
us.
fat.
Yep. Enjoyed it.
Yeah. If you're still out there following your girl, follow me on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. And until next time, get out, get outside, go to Cameron Mitchell restaurants. They're all over the place. And keep moving, baby.